Hello, beautiful people, and welcome to Create with Jake. On today's episode, I interview Rafeh Qazi. Qazi and I talk about his path to YouTube stardom and his brand, Clever Programmer. We talk about how he grew that brand to over 1 million subscribers on YouTube. We also talk about his origins as an entrepreneur, starting at the young age of 16. It's so great to see the passion that Qazi has for YouTube and his entrepreneurial endeavors. I hope you can enjoy this episode on Create with Jake. Qazi.
Yes, sir.
Welcome to the show, my friend.
Thank you for having me, man. I appreciate it.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So I want to get right into it. I want to know what your introduction was into the software world.
Okay. So how I got started with coding in general?
How you got started with coding in general?
Mainly for me, when I got started coding, it was purely a money play at the start. I gave you a little bit of my story. A lot of it came from my pain for seeing my mom suffer. And, you know, we got into a car accident. She developed a lot of health problems as a result of it. And at the age of 12, I just saw her health decay over the next decade. She got diabetes, arthritis, heart problems, heart surgery, everything you can imagine under the sun. You know, taking pills every day, screaming in agony at every night, calling me upstairs, asking for help. And I remember back in those days in Chicago, we would go to the hospital, Cook County Hospital, and there was very shitty service that they give you there. I don't know how many people who are watching this or you have gone to those types of hospitals, but basically you have to sit there in the room, emergency room, with everybody else for like 8 or 10 hours, no matter how much agony you're in, because it just takes time. And I just remember thinking, like, holy shit, I'm sitting here next to this homeless guy who's also like suffering from something crazy, all these other random people that are suffering from something crazy, and my mom is in pain, and all of us are just sitting out here like animals. And I remember thinking, like, what the fuck, in Pakistan, the country that America, and we were like, oh my God, like, that probably, do they even have water there? Like, do they even have roads there? Bro, like, doctors would come into our house and take care of us. And so when I'm here and I just don't see this happening, and nobody can provide and help her, and we have to go through this insurance, and my brothers who have 2 jobs, and my dad who's doing 2 jobs, none of them combined could pay for my mom. So I was like, what the fuck is this? So that's why I said to you earlier, which is like, fuck luck. I want certainty, and I want to make sure that I have money so I can provide for myself and for my family. I will never again be in that position ever. And so I was like, how do I make money? I found out it was coding. My brother told me. And I was like, cool. So I got into it. And it was a crazy experience, because the first programming problem I remember I was trying to solve was I was going through this Udacity course, and it was trying to have me do age in days. And it's basically like, if you give the program that you were born in 1994, it should be able to calculate how many days old you are. But then I remember it started off as that problem, and I was like already having so much fun trying to solve it, because I was like, if I solve it once, it's solved forever, and it could do it for anybody. And it's all these like 10 different steps, and they could all happen in a second once you teach it to the computer. And I was like, oh my God. And then every single time I'd run into a new novel problem. Like, I'd be doing it, and then it would be like, oh, I forgot to account that every month has different days. And I'm like, oh shit, okay, cool. Because some months at the 29th, some months at the 31st, okay. Then there's a whole concept of fucking leap year. So then I had to write that rule. And then there's a concept of every century, some weird shit happens with the date. There's so many fucked up weird like things like that. And every odd number of year versus every even. And there were so many little rules. And after I was done writing it, it could get it done every time. And programming blew my mind, because I was like, it's literally like having a genie. Because once you could speak to that genie in its own language, which is Python, JavaScript, whatever, it could create anything you tell it to do. And to me, I just thought about it like Mark Zuckerberg and Steve Jobs, you know, Mark Zuckerberg, all these guys, or Bill Gates with Microsoft, they created their own universe with their apps that they made, and we enter their brain. And so that's what I found fascinating. So I came in for the money, stayed in for the fascination.
Okay, and like what age were you when you were like, oh, I got to get into coding, started studying?
19.
19, okay. And so I know a little bit about this, and I want you to tell the listeners, like at what age did you start engaging in like entrepreneurial endeavors?
Yeah.
And because if I recall, you had like a contracting job, but you were also running a business, and then you were like kind of teaching, like your own teacher, how to run a business, if I'm not mistaken. Could you tell us a little bit about that story and where your instinct for your entrepreneurialism comes from?
That's a great question. Love it. So when I was 15 years old, so first of all, I never had a job in my entire life. Okay. It's very important. And I was, at the age of 15, I had a job. I was going to go get a security job, and I was going to go get a gun because my dad had a security job and my brother had a security job. And so I was like, I want to do that. And then, so I always knew I like wanted to make money. So at the age of 15, I was trying to figure it out. But I also love chess, and I played chess competitively, and an opportunity came my way, which was I could teach chess and make money. And so I started working as a chess wizard, and I had this chess hat on, and I would wear a wizard robe, and I was hired as a contractor to then go to these schools and teach chess to kids.
Okay.
So these were kids like 5 years to 8 years old. So teaching chess to adults was fucking hard enough. Teaching chess to maniacs, like 5-year-old and 8-year-old kids, they're psychopaths. They're crazy. Like, there's no filters. They'll be mean as fuck if you can't crowd control them, if you don't have authority, if you don't have public speaking skills. And then their parents would sit there and watch too. So you're in a room full of kids, 20 kids, cold, who won't respect you, and will say all kinds of shit, will spit on the other, like some kids are crazy. Like one day I walked in, and I was like 3 minutes late, and I walked in and the fish were dead because one of the kids put salt in the fish tank.
Oh my goodness.
And I was like, oh my God. And then you have to deal with the kids, and you have to deal with the parents. And so it was like public speaking just at a level that I didn't even think about. Like, and I had to learn that at 15, 16, and crowd control and all of that. So that was crazy, but I was building a lot of skills during that job. So that was a contracting entrepreneurial job that I was doing. And then I started my first company called Chesstastic.
Okay.
Which was, I just started cold calling public libraries. And the idea was I wanted to put chess into those public libraries and teach my own program. And the way I did it is I know I'm going to be bad at sales calls and cold calling at the start. So instead of calling all the libraries that are closest to me and burning those relationships, I put it in descending order. So I started from the libraries that were the farthest distance away, all the way to the libraries that were the closest to me. So that way, by the time I got better at sales calls, I would close the libraries that are near me in my, and that was it. So that was like one of the first things I ever did, bro. I did that, started calling libraries, and we closed the library, and it was mind blowing. One of the libraries that paid me, I walked in, they gave me $1,000 check for 10 sessions. I couldn't believe that I was being paid.
And how old were you at this time?
16.
Okay.
16, 17 maybe. And I maxed out the Excel sheet. So like I was trying to do everything with Google Sheets. And I couldn't get any farther with Google Sheets. I was like, there were these cell and formulas where you could put it in and it could hit the Google Maps and get the thing. But then at some point I started running into these errors, and the same cells that were working before were all of a sudden all showing errors. And I was like, what is this? Why are there errors? What the fuck is going on? And I'm like, it was working before. I never had code that like was working before and it broke later. I never had experienced that. And I didn't even know what code was.
At that time.
And so I'm like, I have no idea what the fuck is going on. But maybe there's somebody who knows about Google Sheets. And then I went to Wyzant, like tutoring site, and I found this guy, and he was called a programmer. And I was like, what is this? And I hired that guy. And bro, within 2 hours with Java, he had this thing that was working, and it was just getting you all the libraries. And he would run the script and he got me all the libraries. I sat there and I'm like,
It's like you have so much more potential clients now.
yeah, and I was like, how the fuck did he do this? This took me months to even get to the broken version, and this guy did it in 2 hours, and it works. And he didn't find it cool.
Yeah. So
But
he's doing his job.
I was like, bro, how'd you do this?
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, it's like pretty easy, pretty simple. And I did not think it was easy or simple. I thought it was fucking magic. And then I had all these libraries, and I was calling them, and then I was like closing them, and then I made a Google sheet, and what I did is I posted on Facebook. I said on my Facebook, I said, hey, does anybody want to make like, I don't know, $300 a month or $200 a month or something like that? And I got a bunch of people to reply to me and say, yeah, they would. And what I did is I set up this system in Google Sheets where if you called, if I just had all these libraries, and if you call them, it would automatically, and it would put your name there, and it would automatically add $1 to you. So every call you made, it would just say like Jacob $3, Jacob $4, like a taximeter. So people were like, if I just call and make $1 and I can see it right there, and then it'll get paid out automatically too. And so they're like, it just felt easy to them, And so they didn't even, I didn't even train them. I didn't get on sales calls or anything with them or hiring calls. I was just like, if you just call them and just make $1. And it was all very makeshift in Google Sheets, so it would lock the cell like when somebody did something, so nobody else could come and edit it. And dude, I pushed Google Sheets to the fucking max, and people would come in, and I would just see that people have just made calls to all these places, and they would give me the number of then who to contact from there. And once they get past the front door person. And that's how we then started getting more and more libraries. So that was my very first venturing into entrepreneurship. Fast forward a couple of years later, once I got into coding, I think that background was kind of important. And then once I got into coding at 19 and I really discovered what coding was, and I started being able to do some of the stuff that guy did a couple of years ago, I was like, God damn. And the very first client I got was I was promoting myself as a tutor who could teach coding, because I knew if I had 3 months of experience in coding, 99.9% of the world is at month 0 or month 1. So from objective perspective, I'm ahead of 99.9% of the world with 3 months of experience.
And you were ready to teach what
And I was like, I'm ready to teach what I know in those 3 months. There's still a lot more.
I mean, that's a lot of confidence.
It is.
It seems like you had some innate confidence since you were like 16 years old. Oh, I'm just going to call libraries. Like, a lot of people have to be taught this or like kind of grow into that confidence. What do you think, could you point to something that would say this is kind of why I was wired that way?
Absolutely. That's a fantastic question.
Curious what that is.
Yeah, I think for me, I had a very loving family that believed in me. And I had I always like to joke that I had 3 dads. My dad.
And your 2 older brothers.
And my 2 older brothers.
And how much older were they?
One is 9 years older and the other is 12.
Okay.
So they're literally like, could be my dads,
Right.
I mean, they had me at 9 years old.
Right.
But yeah, so that's the thing. It was like they were much older than me. And these guys were savages. They just believed in, like my dad believed in himself like crazy. My dad was also the president of banks in Pakistan and shit. So he was a pretty big deal. When we got to America, he went from being a president of a bank to rallying and having thousands of people rooting for him.
Wow.
And being elected as like their leader and all that, to coming to America and being a security guard at
scratch.
A random fucking place and being a nobody.
Yeah.
But he never was a fucking victim. And he always had this happiness glint in his eyes. And he always was one of the most optimistic people you could ever meet. To this day, he's like that.
Wow.
And both of my brothers caught that from him. That passion and desire for things. But my brothers had that too. And belief in themselves that they can crush whatever it is. Like, they were just always winners. My dad was a winner. Both of my brothers. Even if they didn't make money or made money, they just had a winner attitude.
They had the winner attitude, right?
Yeah. And so that got fed into me at a very young age.
Okay.
That it's like, winning is just what we do.
Yeah.
We win through it.
Win through it.
Regardless if it's hard or whatever, we don't complain. We win through it. And when I would complain, my brother would slap the fuck out of me. Seriously. And I used to bitch and moan, and I went to therapy, and I'm like, my brother used to beat me up. And now I'm like, no, that was actually one of the best things that's ever happened. You know, going to religious school where for 4 years I like to joke that I felt like I was in prison. You know, from 9 to 12 years old, where they'd pick up my jeans up to here and your shins are showing. Get the plunger from the toilet and hit the fuck out of my shins. And that's like, I'm describing to you the first 30 minutes of the 12-hour day. There were crazy shit that we used to do. They would make you a chicken. So how that works is you go like this. Through your hands, and you hold your ears like this, and you read the book Quran, and you're reading, and you're like, Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. And like,
the teachers are making you do this?
Yes, the teachers are making it. And if your veins aren't popping and he can't see your vein because you're reciting the book so loudly. And I just want to be clear, it's not a religious problem, it's the specific institution problem. Because there's a lot of people who will teach religion with a lot of love. That institution was pretty abusive, right? Which I didn't know at that time. So and he would go, I can't see your veins if you're that loud and screaming essentially, I'll beat the fuck out of you.
Wow.
And that's what he would do. And so all of those things that I saw as such a pain point in my life just turned out to be my strengths. Because then when I'm on YouTube, if I'm just not getting my ass beat that day, I'm winning.
Well, so speaking of YouTube, so let me roll back a little bit. Chesstastic, did you start a YouTube channel for that?
I even started a YouTube channel for that.
How old were you when you started?
17.
Okay, 17. And then you were doing programming for like 3 months. You started, I believe was it Clever Programmer back then?
Yes, at 19, because my professor came up to me and he was like, you don't want your career advice.
Okay, yeah. So it's like your teacher is asking you for, that's how you know you're doing something right. So the specific question I have is, all right, so you were dabbling with YouTube, it sounds like a little bit with Chesstastic, and then you're like, okay, I've been doing this, let me do it for programming. My question is, when did you see the opportunity to go all in on YouTube, and like, what were the signs that made you realize you could make a living from it? And
that's a good question. So I started YouTube in 2016, and it started taking off end of 2016.
2016, so okay, got it. And so you were 16 when you started? 17?
YouTube?
16, yeah, YouTube.
No, I think like, I don't know, like I'm 20-ish maybe, or 21, something like that.
Okay, got it.
Yeah, so like around that time.
Okay.
Those years I kind of get mixed up, but around that time I started YouTube.
Got it. So got it. So 2016, you could say, which is like
2016 is when I started Clever Programmer YouTube channel, correct.
And you were doing Chesstastic for a time.
Yeah, for a little bit.
But it wasn't something you weren't like...
Because I didn't know if I was going to take off or not. And I quit prematurely. It had every chance of taking off. Like, I think I could have been one of the biggest YouTube channels for chess. Like, literally bigger, as big, if not bigger than my... probably bigger than my coding channel even. I just quit too early because I thought it didn't work. I just didn't stick with it long enough. I couldn't even tell if it failed.
So, but with Clever Programmer, you started seeing signs of it kind of picking up pretty early on.
So 2016, I started seeing signs of it. And again, in 2016, I learned coding, kind of taught myself coding. And with coding, I was already on track to make 6 figures through tutoring
and contracting.
And through contracting, because I got a contracting job. And I was making content. And when I went to my class one day, I saw all the kids watching my coding tutorial to pass the Python class we were all in. And so when I saw that, I was like, oh, shit, like maybe I'm onto something. And then my professor, I was already making 6 figures too. And I even had 2 contractors that were doing the work. And so I would just get payments of like $5,000 or whatever come through, and me and my friend are playing pool. My friend was Tenzin. He's the he created What's Dev, another YouTube channel. And we were playing pool, and I just see the Stripe payment come through, and I'm like, oh, that's cool. And then I just go back to playing pool. And my professor, he heard about this, and then he saw everybody like watching my Python tutorials, and then he came up to me and he was like, hey, like he wanted to ask for career advice. And so when I saw that, I was like, okay,
there's something here.
There's something here. It's like money's coming in, bunch of stuff is going right. Let me start this thing. And I decided I'm going to take 3 months semester, like one semester off, and just see where it goes. And I got 5,000 subscribers in like December of 2016, and I remember I'm like, okay, there's flow there. And then at the start of 2017, basically what I did is I'm like, I'm just gonna go all in, and I'm gonna put my back against the wall. So then I got rid of every single client, and I stopped going to the contracting thing. I just cut everything off, and I brought my income down to zero. Because I'm like, if my income is zero, I'll need to survive from this business. And if I need to survive from this business,
you'll make it work.
I'll probably figure something out, because the last thing I want to do is go broke. And so, and then it just...
You bet it all on yourself and you won.
Yes.
Sounds like there's some wisdom there.
Yeah.
So, okay, I want you to tell us a little bit more about Clever Programmer. Well, actually, before we get there, because I had a clarifying question. So you were in college for like computer science?
Yes.
Okay. So you're at like a 4-year university. It started...
Yeah, I went to a community college, and then I went to an actual college.
Okay.
I wasn't smart enough to get into the big colleges. So I went to like Oakton Community College. They called it Oakton Joketon.
Yeah. Okay.
Joketon Community College. And so I went there first, and then I went to UIC.
Okay.
And then I dropped out after half a year or a year or something.
That's some University something Chicago.
University of Illinois Chicago or something.
Yeah.
And then the other one is University of Urbana-Champaign, which is U of I.
Got it. But you took that semester off, and then you're like, I'm all in, and you didn't go back.
No.
So, okay. My next question is, tell us a little bit about Clever Programmer. What's its chief aim? Like, what's its primary purpose for the viewers?
Yeah.
And you've talked about this a little bit. I'm also curious, like, what type of opportunities has been revealed as you've been growing the brand, at least for like your business? And it's like, you know, I think people, when they think about YouTube, it's like, how are you making money from YouTube? It's like not just from the monetization that Google's providing.
Yep.
There's other routes. And so I'm curious if you could share some insights on that.
Yeah, that's a great question. So Clever Programmer, we help people become software developers. And, you know, generally the general goal we go after is like, can we help 1,000 or 5,000 people this year get jobs?
Okay.
And that is very exciting to me, because the way I think about it is, let's just say one person, if we help them get a job, the average person we help get a job makes like $80,000 a year. So I think about it as, okay, 80,000. Now let's multiply that by 10. So if we help 10 people get jobs, we're helping the world make $800,000 a year. Now if you multiply that by 100, we're helping the world move forward by $8 million a year. Now take that and multiply that by 10, because that's 100 or 1,000 developers.
1,000x.
That's $80 million per year.
Yeah.
Right? And so I'm like, if we're helping the world move forward by $80 million per year, we're bringing $80 million worth of value and wealth to people. That is absolutely insane. And I think even more people get help than that, because it's hard to document. But, you know, like I was telling you, I was like, I'm in Boise, of all the places, Idaho, and the person that comes to repair my house is like, dude, I'm watching your content. It was so valuable. Some random person who I was trying to hire the other day is like, oh, I forgot to tell you, I got a job because of this content. I'm on a date in LA, and the guy who's making the popcorn, you know, he comes back and he's like, dude, Qazi, like, I've been watching content. And who knows, maybe he's a software developer right now. Not everybody will report in. We don't have a way to know, because YouTube and everywhere, right? We've got millions of people watching content. But because of what I've seen and experienced and the people I've met and the stories we have even collected, that is absolutely incredible. So that excites me. So I don't know if that answers your question, but yeah.
No, it does. And I think it's interesting. Like you can't track the metrics necessarily for how many people are getting jobs that go through your program. I know we talked about that. But one thing you introduced me to this concept of just like putting value out there. Like a big reason why someone might start a YouTube channel is not for yourself. It's for like the value that you have, the knowledge that you have, and you want to share, and like look at the impact you've made through Clever Programmer. And like no doubt you do have all those testimonials of people finding jobs, building their careers from knowledge that you've shared, and there's many others that you haven't yet been reported on. But
correct.
I think that's so profound, and I mean it's what's inspired me to start my YouTube channel. Like, share what you know and share what's in your heart, because even if you bring that value to like one or two people, like that could be infinite levels of value. Like, you really can't put a price on what people gain from it.
Yep, agreed.
I don't know if you had something you wanted to add to that, but I had another question for you.
Go for it.
So, okay, shifting a little bit, I know you have another YouTube channel now, your personal brand. I'm curious, like, about it, what inspired you to start it, and kind of what's your vision for it going forward?
Yeah. That brand has two branches. So it's personal brand. And I kind of want to talk about whatever I want to talk about. Yeah. So that's like my artist. I'm taking it out there, because when I tried to do it with Clever Programmer, I was ruining the channel. Okay. People were like, we don't give a fuck about self-development.
Yeah.
I just want to like learn how to smash buttons.
Yeah.
Fucking build apps.
Make money
with that. That's what I want to do. And so when I try to force like personal development content or self-improvement content, that just fucking dies. Even when I talk about
Clever Programmer.
Yeah, it dies. Completely dies. Nobody gives a shit. Entrepreneurial content, freelancing content, it just dies.
Okay.
And so I just stopped. I look at it like a business. It's like, it's a fucking business. I understand the value proposition that they want. I'm going to give them the value proposition, which is like how to get a job as a software developer, how to learn AI and make money with ChatGPT. And I think that's a valuable thing. I do believe that. But I just stopped sharing anything that is beyond coding.
Okay.
Because I feel like it doesn't resonate with the audience. Personal brand is where I get to share everything. Just like if I'm learning how did I make $10,000 yesterday, and I want to share how I did that. It's January 7th and it's 5 p.m. and we've cleared $15,000. How the fuck did we do that? And so I want to share that side. I like sharing the side of if I have a political viewpoint on something. And I'm not even a political person, but I have been just watching a lot of politics recently. And I fucking love this guy. His name is Vivek.
Oh, yeah.
Vivek Ramaswamy. I love that guy. And I'm like, that is incredible. I'd vote for that guy if he ran. He is running, so I will vote for him. But yeah, I love the guy, And so there's these random side topics that I want to put somewhere. Personal brand is a great place. But from like a vision and growth perspective, the idea that excites the fuck out of me with that brand is just being a YouTuber.
Okay.
Like straight up full on YouTuber. Like 100 dates in 24 hours. Like fucking crazy videos. Like 1 black belt versus 50 white belts. Like massive videos. Because I imagine I did one of them and it's at 500,000 people watch that on a channel that has 5,000 subscribers, 6,000 subscribers.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, oh my God, if I actually go hard on that, I could achieve my dream of, because if I'm like full on YouTuber, I get so creatively fulfilled. That to me is like how you feel about like coding. If like all your games started taking off, you're kind of like, tech mentorship is cool, but fuck, like I want to do this.
Right.
And so that's kind of how I feel, where I'm like, I would love that. That is something where I want to go. I've been scared to go all in. I've been doing other things to hold back, kind of not go all in, but I want to start going, I want to start at least committing it to somewhat level every month. That's why I'm doing the video that I'm even doing recently.
Yeah.
Or soon that I'm going to be dropping. But yeah, that's the vision. It's like, if I can make banger YouTube videos, that would be the vision for our Q.
We're talking like Mr. Beast status.
Yes.
Or above.
I mean, yeah.
He set the bar.
I know. Yeah. So that dude is fucking nuts.
Yeah, he is nuts, man. It's cool.
I love, yeah.
So with Clever Programmer, I guess my question is like, that was like really your introduction into like the success of YouTube, and it really was fulfilling for you for a time, but it sounds like it's really turned into a business now, and you're getting your creative outlets through your personal brand and your personal channel. Yeah. Is that kind of like the story? Is that kind
fairly,
of
it's fairly accurate. I mean, it's just, I I believe in what we do. I believe in the help that it provides to people, and I know that the value it brings is crazy. But I'm starting to see it as more like, this is what the people want and need. We will help them. I will do what's fucking required. Personal brand side is like fully my heart, you know. And even if it doesn't do well or the video doesn't do well, it doesn't matter. It's okay.
So, with regards to Clever Programmer, I'm curious if you can give us some lessons learned. If you could redo it from the ground up, what would you do differently, and how would you do it?
I mean, I feel like I executed on that bad boy pretty well.
Yeah, you know, so perhaps maybe the question is like, how could you have, you know, maybe made it fulfilling in the process for you? Do you think that was an option, or do you think this is kind of...
No, I did make... So here's what happened, right?
Yeah.
I did make it fulfilling for as long as possible.
Yes.
But where it diverged is I'm not a developer anymore.
Okay.
That's the reality of it. And so that's where the big disconnect happens. I can code, but I'm a CEO. I operate a business. I operate a team every day. I lead the team every day. I have developers that work for me.
Right.
And we are building software. And so it's like, I can't share a lot of those things. It's like, if I tell my audience, this is how you take a team of developers and build a software, and it'll cost you $30,000, but you can, it just gets lost. The thing that we can talk about is, how do we go get jobs, and how do we make money getting a job? Because a lot, and I'm not saying the whole audience is like that. There are fucking crazy ambitious people in there too, but a lot of people want to switch from their career. They don't want to be a nurse anymore, and they want to be with their kids, and they want to be, so it's very different people that we're looking at, and it's not wrong to want what you want. But what the Clever Programmer audience wants is very different than what I want. And I want to have a business that's like fucking $100 million, you know? I want to grow something big. I want to chase like really, really wild and obnoxious dreams. And I want to be around crazy high level people, creators, fuels me. People are coming with ideas, masterminding, building businesses. That excites me. And so with Clever Programmer side, like the disconnect is, I'm not a developer anymore. I can still help you, and I can still put people in place that can help you. But that's the main disconnect. Got it. That makes a lot of sense. And you know, I think we're all on our own evolutionary path. It's like, perhaps, you know, many of your audience, certainly they're very ambitious, and maybe some are just looking for that programmer job, but perhaps they just need to go through that, get that programmer job, leave their nursing job so they can work remote at home, stay with the kid, and then they're like, wait a minute, you know, I've already grown this much. How much more can I grow? Maybe I become my own CEO. So it's all part of the path. I think it's beautiful that Clever Programmer is what it is, and you're still sustaining it, maintaining and growing it while you have all these bigger aspirations. I think that's awesome, man. Well, dude, the last question I have for you, as we've had this time, appreciate your time, is obviously, this is a silly one, but where can people find you, and where would you point them to? Absolutely. So me personally, my at Rafeh Qazi, RAFEH.QAZI on Instagram. That's where I respond to people. That's where I like build human relationships and connections. And so that would be a great place. And outside of that, I mean, if they want to do some coding related stuff, Clever Programmer would be the place on Instagram or YouTube. Got it. And your personal YouTube is also Rafeh Qazi? Yes, personal YouTube is also Rafeh Qazi. That's right. Awesome. Well, dude, thanks for being on, and thanks for your time, and hope everyone has a great day. Peace.